What I have here is Honey. Now she is what they call an alpine dingo. She is the mother to all these other dingoes here. Now, I guess a lot of people think the dingo is a dog. Does everyone think that? No one's got any voices. Yeah. Okay, well, if you think the dingo is a dog, is an emu an ostrich? Is a wallaby a kangaroo? Is a zebra a horse? Well, the dingo's not a dog. Now, we've all been led to believe that for quite some time. Now, originally, we were told years ago that the dingo arrived in Australia with Southeast Asian seafarers in canoes or boats or whatever, and they landed around Broome on the northwest coast of Western Australia. They also found the skeleton of a dingo in a cave on the Nullarbor Plains that had fallen down there and died. They did carbon dating on that, the bones of that, and they said I was about 3,500 years old. They found another skeleton in Eden, near Merimbula, on the east coast there, the same thing, about 18 months old, so they thought, okay, dingoes arrived in Australia 3,500 years ago. Well, they've done more research now, that now they can do DNA. A guy by the name of Professor Alan Wilton, who used to do the DNA in all our dingoes, he has since died, but he and his colleagues were doing a lot of research on where the dingo had come from. In their research, they found out that the dingo arrived from, does anyone know? No, not Fraser, China. They reckon the dingo arrived in Australia about 18,300 years ago from China. Now, all the testing that they've done, the New Guinea singing dingoes, they're different to the Australian ones, same with Thailand. But having said that, there's some people have found some rock art in the Kimberleys. You can only get there by helicopter. And these rock art drawings date back between 40 and 60,000 years. And on there are some dog-like pictures. So having said that, if anyone understands when we had the Ice Age, that began about 26,000 years ago, stopped about 12,000 years ago. So if you realise over the Ice Age, all the water levels around here would have been probably about 200 metres lower. I'm no scientist, but something around that according to research. So all the land would have been joined together. Fraser Island, Tasmania, New Guinea would have all been part of Australia. So having that in mind, other people are now saying that, well, the koala, kangaroos, the emu, platypus, they're all unique to Australia, aren't they? So maybe the dingo is unique to Australia too. Instead of the dingo coming from China, maybe it went from Australia and spread out before the Ice Age or what after. Anyway, we weren't there, we don't really know, but what I'd like to say is that the dingo is not a dog. Scientists have now turned around and said the dingo is a unique species of its own. It's called Canis dingo. Even on our permits that Ray and I have, we have to get special permission to come out here today from biosecurity. Our permits say Canis familiaris dingo, which means it's a domestic dog. Well, it's not true. Even the Federal Minister, Greg Hunt, Minister of Environment in Canberra, has turned around and said it's now a Canis dingo. So if you sort of think, well, if the wolf was the original canine, then after that the dingo was created, then everything under that, they're all domestic dogs. They're all hybrids, designer dogs or whatever. They're not a pure animal. So the wolf and the dingo are pure animals. So having that in mind, I think we need to appreciate that these dingoes have evolved for thousands and thousands of years in Australia. They're not just a dog. Their instinct, everything is evolved through surviving in Australia. I mean, we are the biggest, driest continent in the world. All our population's on the coast. Nothing inland. So if anyone's travelled inland, you know how I might have a fight here. I'm going to say this is the first time that Honey's caught up with all her kids again. 4 years ago, she had 4 ginger pups. 2 died, and the 2 that survived, Ray bought, and they're Geary with Nick and Cora, who's with Talia. They're about 4 years old. Now, Honey hadn't come into season since that time, and with biosecurity, how can I put it? Okay, in Queensland, the dingo is classified as a feral pest, which means it's like the same as a cane toad. Class 2 feral pest means it has to be shot on sight and killed. It's not recognised as I believe on the Conservation Act they say it is a native species, but anyone's allowed to go and shoot them. Now, I have to get permission to breed. I'm the only sanctuary in Queensland that's allowed to breed dingoes. Well, until last year. What happened, Honey hadn't come into season for 3 years, and her partner, Marbo, who's a white fella, he only has one testicle, so we sort of had a fertility issue here. So she hadn't come into season, I hadn't seen them mated. Next thing, she's got 4 white pups. So I'm immediately trying to sell them before I tell biosecurity, because I'm going to be in heaps of trouble. Well, anyway, I managed to sell 3 and kept 1. So my punishment for not getting permission to breed is that biosecurity won't let me breed for 3 years. So I'm wearing that, but at the same time, biosecurity have allowed Ray and I, anytime we get an invite, say as today, to come and bring our dingoes out in the public. No other zoo or sanctuary in Queensland is allowed to do that. So Ray and I are very, very privileged to have biosecurity supporting us and allowing us to take our dingoes out on display. Because you've got to bear in mind, they're classified as a feral pest and have to be shot. They're not classified as a dog or anything else, so it makes things, very difficult. Your voice
okay, here again. As you all know, I've been here a few times now and getting pretty used to it, but we brought one of our new guys along this first time. But Simon's pretty much covered a lot of what I was going to say as well. But what I'm going to show you is some of the unique things about dingoes compared to your domestic dog. Now what I do, I don't recommend you do to yours at home. You'll have to excuse me, I'm pretty crook. Got to swap them round because the young one's not used to this. Yeah.
Okay, we'll start with the head. Now, another reason why the dingo is not a dog is because of the shape of its skeleton. Now, there's a lot of bones in its neck. Now, what Ray's going to do now, he's going to twist her head right round. A dingo can turn its head and look right round its spine. Your dog can't do that. Another thing the dingo can do with its front feet, they're very dexterous. Their paws can rotate left and right like a hand. Your dog can't do that. Also stand them up and the legs can spread sideways, like it almost ripped their chest apart.
This you don't do to any of your pets at home, for sure.
Another reason why the dingo is unique, also on their tail they have a scent gland, which sometimes you can see just by a little small. Got to be careful, you might have a fight. Just there is a scent gland. Again, dingoes only have that. The other good thing about a dingo is that their sense of smell is probably 10 times greater than a normal dog. They can smell stuff miles away. Their sense of hearing. Now, another thing with the dingoes is the shape of their ears. You can imagine like let's say the opera house. You've got that curved look. Dingoes have this. Now, for the dingoes, they can't go to a butcher shop or takeaway shop to get food. They have to go and hunt for it. So to hunt, they have to have a great sense of smell and hearing. Now, what the dingoes can do with their ears, they can rotate them separately. Unfortunately, we can't get to do that on command. But for the dingo, it has to triangulate. So if it hears something over here, that ear will turn, then this one will then focus on that point so they can triangulate to where their prey is going to be and hunt it that way. There's another thing dingoes have, which is not really enough research has gone into it yet, but they have this mental telepathy, or ESP. Dingoes can communicate to each other without having to say anything. They can communicate just by the way they raise their tail, turn their ears, cock their head, even raise their lip, or even flick out their tongue. They've got communication going all the time. Now, as us fellas, for us to try and understand the dingo behaviour, it's a daily form of education. The stuff that we know from dingoes you can't buy in books, you can't get it from university. It's all just from the dingoes teaching you about their behaviour. And again, what I keep stressing, the dingo is a very unique animal, and we have to remember that. We need to sort of get more education out there, because at the moment the dingoes are not becoming extinct, but they're becoming less and less. Two reasons: they're interbreeding with wild dog, and also the 1080 baiting. Now the government, they're probably baiting 4 times a year now. They probably bait around here too. It's a dreadful stuff. I've been told I'm not allowed to talk about 1080, so I'll just leave it there. But many people have their own understanding for it. I'm also a farmer. I had a cattle stud until just recently because of the drought. But my cattle used to hang around my dingo enclosures. Since I've had dingoes out at my place, the amount of wildlife that's turned up there is unbelievable. So there's something about dingoes that they're there, they protect wildlife, and also they kill things too, because they need to hunt. But another thing I just want to quickly stress before I shut up is that with wild dogs, they kill for the thrill. Dingoes, they kill in a need for a feed. So there's a big, big difference there. Dingoes are generally always lean, ours are a little bit fat because they're fed regularly. But, and also dingoes can't, even though people say they kill sheep, the thing is dingoes can't eat sheep. They can't, their bodies won't digest fat. But they are scavengers of the jungle. Anything on the ground, they will eat. Everything that you think is absolutely disgusting, they will eat. So while they live with the Aborigines for thousands of years, they're a good camp animal, clean up all the poo and mess around their camps, that sort of stuff. So they're a very unique animal. Anyway, I've got off track again. What are we going to say about any more about behaviour? Should we mention Fraser Island? We should be mentioning Fraser Island, shouldn't we? Getting carried away with our own animals. Now, I think the belief is that the Butchulla people lived on Fraser Island probably for about 4,000 years, maybe more. In that time, 5,000, okay, I stand corrected, 5,000. And in that time, there's probably about 1,000 dingoes that lived on the island with them. Dingoes have always cohabitated with people. Done that for thousands of years on Fraser Island. Now we have a lot more tourists going there. Dingoes are curious. I'd like to give an example of I know the rangers say you're not supposed to approach the dingoes or interfere, anything like that, and that's fair comment. We don't want any of that going on. But you've got to consider, when you're going to Fraser Island, wind up, okay, 2 minutes. When you go to Fraser Island, if you see a dingo, you've got to remember that you are entering their territory. You are the intruder. I know you're going over for a holiday and you've got your four-wheel drive and everybody's happy, but you are entering their territory. So the dingo checks out its territory in a clockwise manner almost every day, looking for food. It is always hunting for food. So as it's walking along, you'll probably set up your tent, set up your campsite there. The dingoes walk along and think, what the hell is this? That wasn't there yesterday. So you come home from shopping, you found someone camped in your backyard, you wouldn't be too happy. So same with the dingo, but they're curious, so they'll come up and have a sticky nose what you're doing. If you've left food out, they'll eat it. So as tourists, you've got to be very careful, protect the dingo, but at the moment we've got, the dingo numbers are dwindling very quickly. I know the government says there's between 200 and 300. Ray and I believe there's probably about 50 or 60. Again, we can't prove it, but you talk to any tour guide that goes over the island, or even you people that go over there regularly. Are you seeing dingoes every time you're going over there? Probably not. So Ray and I put a plan towards the Liberal government about opening up a sanctuary and trying to protect the dingo there, start up a new breeding program, but none of that's happened now. But we're concerned about the life of the dingoes. I have a frozen dingo at home. I have the biggest captive bred Fraser Island dingoes at my place. I've got about 10 of them. They're wild, even though I've handled them since birth. They're wild. And like most dingoes are, wary of people. But if you go to Fraser Island, take photos, leave a good footprint, don't approach the dingoes. And if you see one, don't tell everyone where it is, but let them enjoy their lives while they can. Anything else? No? Okay, stop talking. Thanks very much, everybody.